reminder, good time to either silence your phone or put on vibrate.
The digital expressions, page number 6.
So just a couple housekeeping things before we begin the beginning prayers. And as you said, a reminder for the phones, either vibrate or off. And if you need to get up anytime, it's okay. You need to restroom or stretch is fine. And we have some water outside here, just outside the door. And I think most people know what the two restrooms right here, just the housekeeping things. Yeah? Then we do the beginning prayers. Then I'll also share about Rinpoche's biography, short brief, before we start. So in the book, in the volume 1, starting with page 6, and we will also share the screen for the Zoom.
May I, through virtue such as giving, attain Buddhahood for others' sake. May all mothers such as beings boundless as the sky have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from their happiness, which is grief and sorrow. May they abide in the state of equanimity, free from the closeness and distance of attachment and aversion. By all offerings, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, beseeching, even the small merit I have gathered, I dedicate all this to attain complete enlightenment.
Okay, then before we're going to make the mandala offering, which is on page 10, the 37-point mandala offering. I would just like to read. Yes, that's it. So I'm sharing with Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche, Holy Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche, about his biography. And we're so honored that Rinpoche is here with us. It's such a blessing. This is the first time he's in the U.S. and very, very wonderful. So Rinpoche was born in Ladakh in 1963 on the first day of the 4th lunar month, the holiest day in Tibetan Buddhism, the Sakadawa, celebrating the birth, enlightenment, and parinirvana of Shakyamuni Buddha. Rinpoche entered the Lama Yiro Monastery in Ladakh at the age of 9. This monastery is one of the most important in the Drikung Kagyu lineage today. He was ordained at Yuldzhong Tarpaling Monastery, where he studied the Dharma and its rituals, serving the monastery in accordance with the ancestral traditions, under the spiritual benevolence of excellent masters Khenchen Tukten, Khenchen Punga Wangchu, Khenpo Todal, and actually many, many others. He continued his studies until the ultimate title of Khenpo, which he obtained at the age of 26. At the request of His Holiness Drikung Khenpo Chetsang, he became the principal abbot of the Drikung Kagyu Institute Chanchudling in Dehradun, where nearly 500 monks reside. After 10 years of intensive work, he decided to enter retreat in order to perfect his Dharma practice. His first retreat took place in Tatopani in Nepal, under the guidance of His Eminence Drulung Rinpoche. Drulung, the retreat master and realized yogi. Following the strictest rules of tradition, Rinpoche was isolated from all contact for 3 years. A simple cotton shawl as his only possession. He then completed a second 3-year cycle in the Ningyong cave in Lachi, where the great Milarepa meditated for 25 years, again in extreme conditions. Then Rinpoche again, followed by 2 more retreats in Mustang in the Annapurna Mountains. So Rinpoche is one of the few current masters to have completed the 12-year cycle of meditation retreat based solely on the Mahamudra teachings. His Eminence Drulung Rinpoche passed on his own prayer wheel to him, saying, "You have cut off all attachments of samsara. Now it is your turn to teach the Dharma for the benefit of all beings." His Holiness Drikung Khenpo Chetsang, along with His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, similarly encouraged him to teach. Rinpoche has since continued to transmit the Dharma throughout the world. Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche is renowned for his clarity and simplicity of his teachings, as well as his profound wisdom. Accomplished yogi, he answers all his students' queries and teachings of the basic Tibetan Buddhism of the ultimate doctrines, the Yoga, Madhyamika, Mahamudra, Dzogchen. His extensive knowledge of Tibetan divination also mold his very infinite kindness and good humor bring joy and help and comfort to everyone who meet him. So Rinpoche is demanded around the world. He also founded the center in France, in the Drikung Kagyu lineage, and is a Drikung Kagyu Mila Center, was created in 2017. And then he also they purchased the Boni Sur Lori Center. So again, we're so very, very blessed to have him here. He also travels extensively across Europe and Asia, and it's just such a wonderful opportunity. So please, we offer this mandala for the teachings to our precious teacher. Okay, we'll do on page 10.
Page number 10.
So today is my first time teaching Jigong Samten Chuling and Sutashi Dele, first of all. Milarepa and Milarepa together. They insigres. All the Nana that is selling in London was not only can I Milarepa Shastra. That is Ilam Cadeton from the water, the Leton. The name they go on at the issue. The copay, the bag and mixing matter and a comment. Sure, now, yes. And then they should do any come like that chain on the anything is on salary. Then from the Tamon Chili, tumbling some better result and then running after the issue of the land. Upon all the any cannon, but they share the Tamon and Kiras on Chisel Miller, Chinatan, and Comium Chili, or Zergi, and a door to see the time, then let's take it some other village and go to Pare in a dinner, Mongo Church, they was to sushi down the ne dina ta ne ga chiro chiro ta de yue de bo bi sing yin su ma ta ma da song ye yu de la
so and you did relax so
ma da na song lo sa ne yang chang ja
yes sir yeah so so today we are going to speak about Milarepa, one of these songs, and so there are many songs in his 100,000 songs, but the song we are going to talk about today is the song he sang to his disciple Salahu. And so why I'm speaking about this, there's actually a special reason for mentioning this song in particular. And so now going back to that story, back when Milarepa was in Tibet, in Nakta, an area called Nakta, and so he was there practicing. And at the same time, there was a girl, 16-year-old girl, who had a dream. And in her dream, she dreamt of the sun and the moon inside of her body, but without any light. And then she had this vision in her dream of another sun and dawn outside of herself, and that illuminated the sun and the moon inside of her. And then as they merged, and the sun and the moon merged, and the whole universe, the whole world was illuminated with the light. And then after having had that dream, she met Milarepa along the road, and he asked her for some food. He asked him, will you offer some food to this yogi? And she said that, well, our house is just by the roadside. So many people pass by, and I cannot feed everyone. So she declined. And so then she went home, and then she thought again of her strange dream. And then maybe thought that maybe he's that yogi Milarepa that she'd heard about. So she came out again, and this time she offered him food, and she asked him, so who are you, why are you here? And he said, I'm just a beggar from this area. And then she asked him, but aren't you Milarepa the yogi? And then he said, it's possible. And then she shared her dream, and then after that, great faith arose in her heart, and she requested Dharma teachings. And so then he gave her the name Salahu. And so Salahu means luminous, illumination or light. And that's an auspicious kind of connection for her. He saw that in the future, the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma would spread through her like light, spreading throughout the world. And so now, also here, this is a special reason for mentioning this song here in the teaching, because this is my first teaching here, and teaching on this song about Salahu spreading the light of Dharma through the world, that's what her name means. May there be an auspicious connection that through having given you these teachings, that then through Milarepa's blessing, you will engage in practice and you'll meditate, and then through that will benefit all sentient beings, spreading light throughout the world. So this should set this auspicious connection.
올라서 다들들네 다들 찬전라마 두제제 본조선도 겹내선 한들 수경 도다지 공도도만 남나 비서 나고에 나고 제제들아 네 가르송샤는 네 알아서 라마 때문에 생이단 덴베 라마식 된 거예요. 예선들 어야 근데 생이단 덴베 라마들 간내지 고거라서는 빠 라마게 생이들어 아니 두제 신부지 거래 상담하나 이제 했어요. 딱 받아 두제에서는 이제 신부 교체 어디에서는 너무 상계 중재인데 슈베가라 네 결혼데 속에 땅에서 라마 쓰된 거래 저기에 참 나나 요거 교토가 전화 어디 기억이 남아래서 어디 김제 가르라고 해서는 거기 이제 교체 알라마래에서는 다 유태가 가서 포제때 이제 고신도 이제 gemrdago kuru magadago tawdo da kenzena de lama de akala khapore esumore lama tnamde college borna kyo nadu yobo gyutu kanji odena ane lama tsingi is sanga chumne da lama tsingi sumjwa odena ane jisiminde kyan daram sumja lama tsingi tawda lama sorna uje chimbo ikyo es ije sena toda begalana shesai to sena ningaro uje chimbo sena ningje chimbo ikyo 에라 어떤 식이서 따라가면 산다는 생각 어떤 식이에요.
So that song begins with words of homage. It says, qualified guru with great compassion, 3 precious jewels, excellent sources of refuge, the Dakinis and Dhammapalas with their great power, all of these I have described, to you I bow. And so first he's bowing down to the qualified guru with great compassion. And so the Lama that you rely on must be qualified. And what makes a Lama be qualified or authentic? So in order to be qualified, the Lama must have certain characteristics. And the one important characteristic is that the Lama must possess great compassion. When the Buddha was alive, some monks asked, so what kind of guru should we rely on? And the Buddha said that if whoever has great compassion and is your servant when you're sick, that is that guru. And so, because sometimes you may think that we look at someone who seems very kind of impressive, sitting maybe on a high throne and wearing silken robes and making all kinds of impressive gestures and saying impressive things. So just for that to define a qualified guru, that's actually a bit difficult. So what you really want is someone that is there when you truly need them. So therefore, meaning when you're sick, the guru is there to be there for you as your servant. That means he possesses great compassion. So that's really the defining characteristic of an authentic guru. That's what Milarepa is referring to here when saying the guru of great compassion. And so here this term for compassion in Tibetan is like an honorific form of compassion. And so here he identifies his own guru.
Also, then control some more camness and some. I camne la so take was na. Camne la Karla was na. And also the said digi Dungan. In the said she make it correct Dungal. You call it Gop to Pentilla. Camne la word. Oh, that is Dungan you never saw to Pentilla. And then Dungal the never saw it Hatila to pay Mongolic. When I saw Nasana Menkala, member game, as soon as I was so good. I am coming. Oh, Dana, I saw Legalana, Peshala, Peshalana, I saw Calm Mambo members of the world. Oh, they are coming. Oh, then it has also the Dumala Kapgura. Oh, that Peshamana, so do not get to Yamara. How much you give Marata, taking Marata, Himara, on Kwan Kamni, you know, that the Digi Kamni is the Pemon. You know, they some men are some show it. Just something the camera, now they are show it, some show it. That they carry Madana, Sangia controls, and so long to Umbari, other penna did always in Marina. Oh, that in a meeting, New Gazula, Roma shaking, Mijina, and Roma in the Jena. And then the La Carabu was not, and it almost long of king. Oh, that didn't you know the deliver some of the chicken to water. Oh, the dog was so around to Korea, Jala Tana Sangirona, Nilam thing and this was Sangate in the picture. Other lamb thing began the Digomare. Then the La Carabu was none. Also, in Chicanas and Melda with us after. What the go away? That is some sort of Google's in the chicken well and a chicken. Oh, dear. I think has nothing else to cheer today. Also to sell on the Shala. Now the children also that and the girl and also the dollar that they met in the river. And then also that sang you on a sang of one and it cheer day was a met of the Ella. Other met again, they get cheaper because the days on the days on. And then they took the young listen a lover up. You know, that day. I can't only to long, and all like Colgona. Sometimes the Mabna, Salvo said near that. And by Yanko, Sada Marco, Sada, Dawach, Mambale on the bottom door. And also the mortality come and meet you, get it was away. I think all the Saracen. And they could go, kill the down the ditch in the door, kill. Oh, 다 유연한 걸고 그 예라 person 지라캔의 미직 깨지지고도 오데로 지사된 가서 상계고 방어도 셀람가라 참좀 넣어서도 지사 쓰러잖아 있는데 애라 어디 좋고 있는 거 좋으나 가잖아 좋고 있는 거 좋으나 좋으나 또 로파지기 좋은 걸로는 또 로파지기 아무튼 그러나 너무 기행되게 나와요 맵더라 이나 맵더라 처럼 지샤래 이나 다 고든 거 맞아 이 고마한테 다 미치를 지사지고 어디는 애네 겸내를 군조 숨제 아서 거래도 뭐 상말 경우나 상계를 군조 람 땡게레스 이 쳐대 되게 람데레스 그래서 이 람이 도와데 사브라도 어데 네 있는데 내가 참전을 람바데 그거라나 투로도 오데라 딱그 오다 유연한 거 어디나 안다는데 있어요 근데 이제 그 어디나 상말이도 오데로 어데 있는 것도 해라 처음 저거 그래서 그래 뭔가 참말 깍둘 땡기는 방쇼데 네 관점이 이상하래 그래서
And then it says there, three precious jewels, excellent sources of refuge. So the three jewels are an excellent source of refuge. And so what does it mean to be a source of refuge? So in this life, there's a lot of suffering. And in the next life, there's a lot of suffering in samsara. And so whoever can protect us from all of that suffering, that is our best source of refuge. And of course, there are many different sources of refuge in general. There are many different ways to remove different problems and sufferings. For example, if you're sick, you go see a doctor that can heal you. That's also a form of refuge. Or you work to earn money. And if you have some money, then many problems go away. That's also a kind of a protection. It's a kind of refuge, because it's very hard if you don't have a house or any food to eat. So if you have a little bit of money, then you have a source of refuge from that kind of hardship. So it is a source of protection. But the best source of protection is the three jewels. And so the first one is the Buddha jewel. And so the Buddha jewel is the teacher. It shows you where to go. For example, if you want to go somewhere like New York, then if you don't know how to go there, you first need somebody to explain that to you. So the Buddha explains to you about, this is where you are, and so then this is where you need to go. And basically, in terms of the Dharma, the Buddha shows you how to free yourself from samsaric suffering. So that's the Buddha, the teacher. And then there is the Dharma jewel. Dharma jewel is like the map that you use to go somewhere. Nowadays we have a GPS, like a Google map or something like that. So it's our GPS, it's our map. So just the Buddha just telling you that there is this road is not enough. You also need the actual clear directions on how to actually get there, the path, and that is the Dharma. So the map, or the Google Maps, the map then shows you the directions and how to get to your destination. The Dharma shows you how to get out of samsara. And then there is the Sangha jewel, and these are our companions along the path. And so as you're following your Google map, sometimes the map is not so clear. Maybe you come to an intersection where that is not so clear. There are many different routes to take, and you don't exactly understand which one of those you should take. So then you're confused by the map. You don't really know where to actually go, even though you have the map. And so then you stop on the road and you ask a passerby, so how do I get there? And then they tell you, well, first you go left, and then you turn right, you go here and there. And so that is your guide, and that guide is the Sangha. So the Sangha is what helps you to stay on the right path. So along the way, it helps you along the way. So the Buddha is the teacher who shows you the path. The path itself, the map, the directions, that's the Dharma. And then the Sangha is the one who explains you to you when you're confused on the path. So the Sangha keeps you on the right path. And so therefore, the So different kinds of refuge. The best refuge that protects you from samsara is the three jewels. So,
몰라서 다 간도 지금 그자체 간도잖아. 갈아봤잖아. 남갈아 그런 게 날아가 카즈나 남가인 거와 도스나 야 주빙이지. 나서 남자도 된 자유어래, 지우여래, 남주여래, 짬다는 하는 거와. 이나야 다들 나가서 아 미마에 버리기는 뭐야. 아 미마에 버리가 그네 즉 파즈게 루 이다 아젠데 그만 버려. 이나 아 미마버지 그래서 capture 거래. 그래서 변해서 시기라라고 쉬라라고 되게 딱 나오긴 하. 그래서 그 빠져 그래야 다 되게 런던이 용이야다. 네, 제 발제비가 다 뭐라. 오빠지 빼면 뭐죠? 그래서 다지 가서 루스 세네 제 뭐지 직선도 당에 제 세팅가고 저기 담으라고 제로와. 근데 상면은가 약속도 쓰는 거잖아. 최경들의 애라 최경들은 최승교적이잖아. 성경 중간 중간에 네 아버지도 대시 네 방위게 방문도 주상 하천이가 의천이가 생각을 해요. 내 마음에는 배 강찬 정도는 다 공부 모르는 거지. 담나 다사비 즉 담마신 양마신 경마신 세다고 사바 매직 되게리 빼 먹고지. 어다 되나라 네 또디 최경이나 최지간나 성격적인 성격 가르치거든요. 빼나 아마 성격시가 그거 이렇게 깔아야나 되게 알고 싶은 대식이 네 아성격시가 그거 체랑이 마음만의 지죽 엄마 체랑이 강 라바디 니에는 염내 제겐 취지긴 미지 용어이나 근데 가서 저어도는 나는 시주고 매서라 따라는 시주고 말했다 그 저어도 매서 근데 다 지양 매사 칼라미라 추미라 지금 매사라 그 대바이나 무슨 시주고 말했어 가서 시주면 가서 롱보는 칼라게 넣어박기 그래 근데 추나는 가서 칼라게 넣어박기 그래 신기는 가서 칼라게 넣어박기나 네, 그래서 시주금에서 다 됩니다. 성격적이나 라.
Thì cái này con số
야채 대시저도 야보시는 그 일거성 파괴고 장매자 남태서지도 아주 고강의 리가 어디서기 성격이 좀 칼렌지도 다돼. 근데 제도 단나가서 리라 공경의 최징입니다. 아니 시성 허쪽하는 시성을 생각 송어야 말이라. 근데 저바 뭐게시 루바 셀라고 해서 자물이나 셀사가도는 얘기를 해라. 나 저바지 조금은 시성도 루바 데레스는 땅 통을 말이라. 어디인데 최징에 땅을 시주고 말이라. 내가 최경이나 근데 최징에 미리 쫑도긴. 쫑서는 지종제도긴가. 나콜라 나사메바사야 따콜라 칼라 칼라니야서야 아니 어디 다시 땅주가니까 최종나 그래 어디나 딱 불사 체조 누가 체조도 어디 와요 그래서 그래
It says here Dakinis and Dhammapalas with your great power. So the Dakinis and Dhammapalas, so the Dakinis is a dakini literally someone who moves through space. And of course, birds move through space, and airplanes also move through space. But here, what is meant is a certain kind of being that we that we are supplicating. And so there are different kinds of beings also in terms of dakinis and dhammapalas. So there are like various spirits and ghosts and different gods and so forth. And often we turn to them for a certain assistance that we may need. For example, the wealth gods, or to achieve some success, or to heal, or to clear away obstacles, or all kinds of different worldly aims that we may have. So we often make offerings to them, like we make a smoke offering or a sekyem, a drink offering, to please them and invoke their help. And so then among those different beings, spirit beings, the best ones are those Dharmapalas. The Dharmapalas are the Dharma protectors. So they protect those who practice the Dharma. And there are also many different types of Dharma protectors, like the four great protectors of the four great kings, and like in Tibet, the different deities that Guru Rinpoche bound under oath. For example, there were the Dema goddesses and the Gyoma gods and so forth. And so of all of these are protectors that are bound under that oath to protect Dharma practitioners. As for example, regarding those four great kings, when the Buddha Shakyamuni was alive, so there were those four great kings, and they said that if when kind of binding them under oath, so if in the mountains, if there's a Dharma practitioner that dies, is in the mountains and they die, then normally their bones will remain. And so, however, when you protect Dharma practitioners, then there will not be any ordinary bones, but they will turn to gold, and food and offerings for them will always increase. So they will always be protected, in other words, by those Dharma protectors. And that is, the power of those Dharma protectors. And so they have the greatest, they are all kinds of protection. They are the greatest form of protection.
Hola, so da kondo me ba namla du, so da kondo kongi sungyo samla ne kondo yin zumye me ba du, so da chase gu, so ye chi gu, so mare. Na ngara to sama ne kon ode sangye kon chyo kon de bindu mo da ne lama sangi dang de ba. Ne kando chi no sama ye chi gu. Ate buja figure ne do sala buja che ba ina. Ene mi de sonam nam mi de la. Sonam na ene mi de baje ju ma. Ela ode ne baje mi ga. Ona to che de la baje mi ga. To che de la ina ta chi za ya ya ne chi jawa nam lo. Ne song le kare na de sala baje mi la. Ode ge ene la ma chi za ma ko cho su na ne kan chi su ma. Ne buja che ba ne na so baje ju mi. Ela ne da ne ne na so che chi ma la. Ne na so na ma ga ya. Ne na so chue de kan na chue de su la. Che gen de la ne. Sela bache me ba. Ne lu so hang la bache me ba yu ne chi do. O de la ne ti ba chi ba. Yes, da da so ja chi. Yes, ja chi yes ba.
And then it says, all of these I have described to you about. So to them prostrate. So meaning that we have to respect the three jewels, the authentic, the qualified guru, the dakinis, and the Dharma protectors. And why should we respect them? It is because by showing them respect, we accumulate merit. And if you have merit, then obstacles will not arise. And when there are no obstacles, then things go well. Then you have food and drink, success, all goes well. So if you show respect, you accumulate merit, and so there are no hindrances in this life, and then also in the next life, we will again be born as humans and continue our practice in the Dharma. And so our life, our body will be free of obstacles. So therefore, we must show respect.
Lo nyembe de jor mishete sidila ki bi la bi ton de la ka bomba ta da bomba sala yo. Ta jizu konge ne lu di la as. Ta kong burde lu si no burla pero ane de la nyembe de jor mishete ta nyembo ju yongya ki kala ta kiran 다 서바 가주야. 근데 저랑나 딱 저기 하러 암조나 임보이냐. 되게 양아도 있기도 나가 신이 말에 무슨 문제죠. 나 가오지냐. 되게나 나 신이 말에 아. 이나야 식딜라 보고 숨겨 식딜라 규배치나요. 아 도제 창이 손아냐 텔레노 마파미네 마르파나 손베네 알아마 규배 찔랍 상마가 니데 식딜 요래 예스 어디서네 진랍 스나 갈아와는 진랍 스나 갈아와는 진잖아 아니 아 도제 창 도제 창도 그냥 쓰임 받는 상해 시가 두 발에 오 상해 시가 두 발에 아 공부나 되죠. 주고서 어디 뭐 그리고 다 너야나 오면도 보고 이제 그런 거 뭔가 상계한테 네 그거 너제죠. 에라 어디 너제 상기 투기 딱 공부는 투기는 딱 거기 쌤이 용화 서로 하시라 용서 지내봐. 왜나 상계 시간도 봤다 너제는 뭔가 상계데 나랑 말을 통해서 서로 하지. 가르쳐 가서 코레도가 상만 매봐서. 근데 되게 펀드도 봐 유협에 서로 하지려고 와. 어디 진스도 미는다고 돼. 랍세도 가라고 랍세도 나라도 싼데를 유로한테는 근데 고래도 막 이렇게 라포치는 빼 먹고 상암에 와서 더 봐. 다들 간에서 더 보잖아. 아니 가서 다 고래 동화들 가르쳐 준 거 가서 고래 동화 뒷바 먹고 상안에 가서 동화 줘. 근데 뭐지나나 뒷바 사기 동화니 말이야. 안 봐지나나 이 말이야. 위나나 이 말이야. 다들 동화들 매봐서는 뒷바들 다 보러. 근데 다 그게 누바에 되네. 아주 쌤이는 누바 해야 돼. 진랍 생각해서 동화 라버치 매봐서 라버치는 빼 먹고 내 간에서 온 거라서나 빼সম시야. 빼나스 한번 나공지는 거 아빠 똥지성에다 여자는 매교게 네? 그 결국도 매교 가만 나오고 또 아빠 똥지성 경이나 너제 빠잖아. 렘사나 그 차팅이 너는 것도 그 아빠 똥지성 버까 그런 배워야 될래 더야 야 말이잖아. 멀기 말이야. 된다고 내가 저기 깔방모서 뒷바에 다 드려야지 누가 이거지. 내가 내가 썼음기는 랩 드려야 되나? 지납 나야 되나? 또 라면 지납 나눠서 라면 지납 나눠서 이 거랑 게 쌈기 나와 옆에 이번에 가서 짜라고 제라 그래. 그래서 배 넣어가지고 깔래들 라면 겹 안에 누가 내가서 내가 zor라고 왔다 갔다. 저 레겐드를 했어. 지납 나눠나 상황 나눠나 내가 어디라. 근데 진압 제가 또 나도 어딘가 신딜라 기대 진압이요. 다 신딜라 어디 진압이요. 예스 무슨 메레기나서디 우르데 니에나 네 기백이 진압돼요. 예스들아 진압이나 어서디 동아는 매워서 되게 네 누바돼요. 알아. 네 돈딜라 또 많다 사인. 오케이 다들
But then the next line says, I don't know how to sing songs with Vedic words, but these words have the blessings of the lineage. So Milarepa says that I don't know how to sing a beautiful song that sounds very poetically and chants your mind. I don't know how to make such a beautiful song, but still, these words contained in my song, they carry the blessings of the lineage. And so that lineage goes back to Vajradhara and was passed down from Vajradhara through all the lineage masters until Marpa and Milarepa. So the blessings of all these lineage lamas those gurus are within these words of the song. And so regarding this term blessing here, so in Tibetan, blessing means jinlap, and jin means to give, and lap means to transform the mind in a kind of powerful way. So coming back to Vajradhara, so who is Vajradhara? So Vajradhara in essence is the Buddha Shakyamuni himself. We can say he's like the Sambhogakaya or the Dharmakaya form of the Buddha, who is enlightened in the Pure Land of Akhanishta. So that is Vajradhara. The Buddha Shakyamuni, when he attained enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, he had an extraordinary experience, something he hadn't felt before. It is the experience of all suffering of samsara coming to an end and perfect joy, happiness arising. And so he has this power now in his mind. And so that is this power contained in the Guru's mind or the Buddha's mind. That is the blessing or the Chinla. It is what can transform your mind. It can purify your mind. So what we want, what we really want is to be free from suffering. So that's why we are requesting blessing. So the blessing has the power to overcome suffering. And so why do we suffer? We suffer because of our negative karma, our negative actions. So this lap of the chin lap is this transformative power. It has this vast power to overcome suffering. The obscurations of many aeons can be purified instantly through the power of the blessing. And so, we often ask the Lama for blessings. Please give me a blessing. Please grant me a blessing. So when we do that, what we are really saying is, please remove my suffering. Help me remove my suffering. That's really what we are asking. And when we ask for blessings, because we have so much desire, we really just ask for something. Just get rid of my suffering, please. So that's essentially what we are asking when we say, please give me your blessings. And so this is what Milarepa means with this word blessing. So when he says, these words have the blessings of the lineage. So if we listen to Milarepa's song, we hear these words. These words carry the blessings of the lineage. And so the blessing has the power to remove suffering.
올라서 다 던질라 교회 공부하네. 다 되게 식대 안 교라기는 지나겨요. 서와. 지나데 단다들 소소 염내 제바나. 이 교회 공부하잖아. 상계 준비되네. 공부하잖아. 양서 제자이. 성론은 관계요. 어디가 돼요? 식대. 가려가지나 아마 상계 준비되네. मेरा जंगला वो तो थामते खोंगे आवाज़ है इंगरे तिल्ली दूर रहे हैं इंगरे जैगे तो पर रहे हैं इंगरे शुद्ध पर रहे हैं ओ तेरे जंगल काशी आशी क्या मैंने कौन जाता ये कौन जाते लोटू सम तेरे लाखों समला ताकि आपको चिराग समझ सकवा 콩에 삼로라 가려야 되는 콩에 삼로라 땅안에 결부지나 내 소속이 뭔가 찍고나 시대에서 특별히 맞아보더라 진짜 상만한 칸도가 있어 어디 결부도 유용네 이게 취지도 되나 내 진짜 상만한 칸도서 상에 콩 공격하더라 이 콩이 미유대 앞에 좀 만들어요 아들은 강한 망발이에요 주 뒷발을 통 제도 거를 사이에서 되고 다 강한 망발에 못 떠버리다가 여와 지금 또 봐라. 어떻게 지금 못 살아? 땅아랑 마음 싸워. 내 공도제 되는 편한테네. 어디 또 권한이 마음 세워. 그냥 마음 전에 내 공기 빌레가 조자. 제동 힘 소미 박사 상만 정말 되잖아. 간데 정바잖아요. 공공다고 저기도 지는 거나. 일단 뭐 시당 한게 잘하네. 되게 뭐 가라 안줄라서 사마 얘네 다 당동 주인당 좀 뭔가게는 그 쉬는 게 세고 또거서네. 레오라. 레오는 공이 잠베딩이 되나. 그래서 나가 잠시 나가 선서다. 미터 직장지가 아니 공 고줄라 말레 네 다가 동다 대상만 매달리고 오 되네 공 제당이 도죠 그래서 내 묘사 상말에 가는 알아서 불러 제당은 묘사 되는 거래라 어서 묘사리도 그냥 말에는 상담 나나 투과셔 그래 상담 피나 투과시로나 투과셔네 상담 작아거나 요탈에 그래 상담되네 rumba기 होना या ताने के ने चामंडा से दो और कितना खालो आराम से सेम ना है दांग दे तो नहीं होता है ना तो ना जेदांग दे में ना होता है गाना है वो मारे और दे ने संगे सुन और दे दांग सुन दे कम संगे सुन दे जेदांग है बस है ना कम नहीं है बस हां अने दे जुला या कौन क्या जुले या कौन दे दो शाल जुले दो शाल जुले तो खरा ना अने ने तो मन जेमा दा जेमा 또 보이게 저렇게 좀 맞아 참네다네 다시는 근데 쌈데 추야게 타겠단 말이야 이 땅에 공기 애들 같은 게 있잖아 그냥 그러는 거 공은 양도 제대 너무 강한 말할 건데 미처리 있어 너무 강한서는 미처리 있어 근데 내 땅에 그 bomba도 참 맞다네 미들 배스만 공이야 봤더니 제가 보고 상황도 네 저게 방법을 가서 뭐 쇼크를 나와든 이게서는 공기 도착을 해야 근데 대중한테 공기 양공자들 때문에 무게 들으는 때문에 뭔가 몰라 나 혼자 산 거라 뭔가 태어날 때는 공기 어색이 되는데 고를 성을 어설시는 근데 나쁜 상황이라도 잘해 어디지 않은 그 도선 뭐 점례 공공한 양반도 공부하고 상계형도 맨날 상계지 공부하 상어들라 딱 상계가 다른 게 되나 딱 한게 쌤기 나로 뭐 가리 인마도 세상 떠오는 내 감동 거리고 정말 상만 매고 참 내 감동도 상마다 싸고 통하다 하는 이때기는 가리 여가 상마 오더나 저 상계를 걸어서나 알아서 가야 돼. 그러나 상서나 되는 그 디바데 와서 상나게 디바데 내려서 상 나래. 기에서는 바로 연애 시험 같다. 가르나 빼나 어서다 A B C D 같은 거 마시나 땅에서 디바야 돼. A B C D 뭐 마시도 디바 다 하고 말아. 근데 A라 B라 뭐 그거 시험으로 어디 그 상도 디바데 그 A B 지금 마시비 디바데 상상. 따이데 로션도 그거 이 로브 연내에 거기 계속 그래 기회래. 이거 되게 직발해. 이게 시험 말에라나 직발해라. 그 연내 시험 그 디바메 바샤고서는 직발해. 거기 마시면 받으면 매바샤다. 이 시험 받으라기 상나다니 능력으로 와. 오데라. 근데 내가 소리가 상만을 상대 이게 좀 공부하듯이 해서 어디 공부하다 지금면에게 송되나 요래서 땅으로서는데 디바스는 매버더다 연단 이제 깨야기 근데 도도 공부하다 어디가 네 지금은 요래 봐서 제가 고마 살려면 일단은 고마 살려서 다시는 이 요래 다 숨어
So then the next word here, same. And so these words have the blessings of the lineage, and then their meaning is the intention of the victorious ones. So the intention of the Buddhas. So the words carry blessings, and if you practice their meaning, the meaning of these words, that is the intent of the Buddhas, that you practice the meaning of those words. So, you know, how the Buddha attained that state, that this intent or the enlightened mind of the Buddha. So the Buddha, before he attained enlightenment, he endured different hardships. For example, he meditated for 6 years, enduring a lot of physical hardships. So sometimes he would just eat one grain of rice or one grain of sesame seed and so on. And he just persevered in all this hardship of essentially starving. And so one time he then thought that if I remained, so first he thought that this is not working out so well actually. And so he thought that, so if I had remained a king, then all I could have done is care for my country. But I cannot help all beings. So I left the kingdom to practice for the benefit of all beings. So that's his first intent, his first intention. And that was an excellent intention. But then the hardships that he endured to really get there were really immense hardships. So he lived on just a grain of rice here and there, but just enduring many hardships. And so then eventually he sat under the Bodhi tree and he attained complete enlightenment. And so the way he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree was by gradually purifying those demons, those maras of hatred, attachment, and ignorance, so all the obscurations in his mind. And so how he overcame them was that, so once one evening he was sitting under the Bodhi tree and cross-legged in meditation, and the Mara demons of hatred appeared to challenge him one last time. So they appeared in the form of these ferocious demons, and they came encroaching on him with army cries, we're coming for you, we're killing you, we're going to kill you. They came with weapons to frighten him, so they came toward him to attack him. And the Buddha just remained in a samadhi of love. And so as the demons attacked and came toward him like an arm's length before, when they reached that place before him, they all turned into flowers. And that is when the Buddha had entirely overcome all the obscuration of hatred. That's when hatred was completely purified. And so hatred is really what causes most of our trouble. So when it is because we are angry that we start to fight with each other, that we're quarreling in our families, we are fighting outside, we are getting into trouble if we are really aggressive, and then also wars between countries. All of that comes from the anger, the aggression in our mind. If there's no anger, then there's also no problem, there's no conflict with anything or anyone. So at that time, the Buddha, he conquered the demon of hatred. So that was purified. And then next, after that, the Mara demon of desire came to challenge him. And so the demon of desire appeared in the form of these beautiful goddesses that appeared looking very seductive and singing and dancing in this very seductive way, and trying to tempt him, trying to tempt the Buddha, seduce the Buddha in their beauty. And at that moment, the Buddha remained in the samadhi of ugliness. And then as they stepped closer and came like an arm's length before the Buddha, then suddenly the beauty vanished, and so the goddess and turned into an ugly creature. The body was all twisted, and the legs and the hands crooked, and so she and her back was really crooked. So she just seemed really repulsive. And so that was the moment that the Buddha had overcome the demon of attachment, the purified attachment, desire. And then next, the demons of ignorance appeared. And so there, all of a sudden there was this, everything was covered in this darkness. Everything became just turned completely dark. And in that moment, the Buddha entered the samadhi of of light, of clear light. And in that moment, everything became illuminated. All the darkness was cleared away, and everything was clearly illuminated. And the Buddha overcame the Mara of ignorance. And in that moment, he attained enlightenment. And with that clarity, he saw everything, everything, all the three realms of samsara, everything became completely clear. He saw everything in the world very clearly when he attained enlightenment. And so this is the enlightened mind of the Buddha. And so Buddha means in Tibetan Sangye, and Sang means to have cleared away all these obscurations. And Ye means expanding. So all the qualities have expanded. So for example, if you don't know the alphabet, if you don't know how to read, you don't know the ABC, that's a kind of a form of obscuration. But then once you start learning the letters and you start to learn how to read, that obscuration becomes purified. So you no longer have that obscuration. Now you know how to read. So your qualities of reading expand, and that is yin. So now you know how to read. So that is really essentially the same meaning as Buddha. So it is when all obscuration is cleared away and all qualities have expanded. That is the enlightened mind or the intent of the Buddha. And so that is what Milarepa refers to here. All the qualities expanded and all the obscurations removed. So all of the meaning of this is in that word here, the intention of the victorious ones. And so he's saying to Salaru that all of these qualities are actually within you.
Hola, so that digi, Tambuko, that digi, Chugi, Oba Kimchen, what is some Savare, that's your Mujidilla. Yeah, she chagets, Mom chagets, the witch chagets, I did chagets. Oh, then I don't wish she chagets, Secondilla. Our motor was. In a lamb chagets, only you. Jibu chagets, one is you. 나 숨와 어디다가 뭐 시체가 뭐 줘봐 가라왔나 아 체랑 상계들와 유디레다 선도도 나야지라 이게 제가 뭐 줘봐라 그런 상계거나 그런 디레다 선도 지게 와 그것도 디레에서 나가지 뭐 선한데가 봐 아, 어디 하고 소나 그러나 아 मेदो रण खलो द उदिर दा से दो सुशना ता खोला देशे क्या मोर मेदो सना चे कार्बो यारे मोर पारे तने चे यारे दला लो मारे चिगर से ला मोर से तो दो सुशना कोलन हम ने ओ ता दिरेशा सना सोजल हाबो मोरा ओ देने किनांगे संद दिरेदा सना ने सो संद हाबो ये बसला ने देशे चे मोटो yes.
So then all of this, until this point, that was the like the opening prayers at the preliminary words of homage, and so the next part then is the main part, and the main part consists of the teaching on Mahamudra, and that is the ground as Mahamudra, the path as Mahamudra, and the result as Mahamudra. So first, the basis or the ground is Mahamudra, and so the basis of Mahamudra, the ground of Mahamudra, is to recognize, to be introduced to and to recognize the view. Then the path of Mahamudra is to practice, and the result of Mahamudra is the realization, the actualization of Mahamudra. So first for the basis of Mahamudra, so that is, so first you're being introduced, you're being told that all these enlightened qualities of Buddha, it's within you. So this is like pointing with your finger at something, saying, look, that's it, here, that's it is this. That's the introduction that the Lama makes. And then when you point at that thing and you recognize it, you recognize it. For example, it's like pointing to a flower, an object, and so you say, oh, that's it, that's the flower. Then you see it. There's no need to explain exactly what kind of flower. It's red, it's white, it has all these blossoms and so on. There's no need to describe the flower in detail. If you just point at it and you see it, you already understand what it is. You see it. There's no need for any other explanation. You understand without needing further words. So that is the introduction, the pointing out of Mahamudra. That is the basis.
Ola so odela ta tambo de samge melon ya chila temen nan ke ingla ko to koma chila be enna de la bomb som adela tambo samge de moto patela ne khale lo bol samge melon ya chila sam dene samge melon ya chila 다 samge melon ya chila ne 지 제가 첨부 생각도 제가 첨부래도 간들로 못 들거든요. 네. 그냥 선들에라. 다들아 그냥 선데 안데세 그 제가 첨부래나 그냥 선 다다랑 이렇게 다랑 되니나 코너라 야만 거지. 야스나 그래서 짜라 이야 사고는 나고 차다고 썰고 차다고 슈퍼선 차가 어디다 야라 그러 이게 썰보다 나고 상관은 짜를 되나 그 슈퍼선도 그 저라네 나고다 썰보다 차원도 어디다 오시니 저런 게 선데 상기에 이나야 코너가 야사 상하서 약하서나 내가 소리가 남도 mam보기 야사 근데 사발할 때네 아니 가서 강아 쳐지고 뭐도 상계 거랑 다른 게 있어요. 다른 이야기 치샤고지. 어제 또 매워서 그랬어. 어디가 봐. 근데 나 지단계 남긴 와서 다 민들아 저게 좀 먹었다. 저게 전부 다 가르치 따 버려서 나와. 근데 나뭐 상계 좀 된데 강아리 버쳐서 해 버려라. 자. 가르치 배워서나 강아리 버쳐 뭐 빙 되는 거, 뱅 되는 거라. 이거 뱅이 옛날에 찍어서 그 타발라 짜마 캐리고 찍어서 강을 마셔라. 근데 제형들 애들 뭐 뱅이라. 강을 된다 강을 무슨 뭐 갈아서 어디 그 대사기 리저 보스나 그 타발라 따나야 쿨네 캐리고 찍어서 리데 짜니라. 내내 제들 내가 생각 중에 나내 마음 바라 생각하는데 소상서 봐 콜로 domбаки 그 거래 그냥 캐치고 말해서 내가 생각 중에 그 다지 뭐 앞야만 저거 ben namna kunni 강을 뭐 저거 내가 내 뱀네 내 강을 뭐지 조지나 잡제지나 참지나 풀빠지다 내 생각 중에 꼭 중중 지어래 오바 내 도스에서 남나 도스 저기 군다지와 어디 그거 중요를 말하는데 어디 강을 뭐지 보기 시작하고 어디 이제 캐르미지하네 내가 빵배스도 어디가 페페 까블라 아니 롬바치는 갈보지어서 이 갈보면 나와서 뭐라 이 갈보디 통해서 왔다 왜 다들이 네 남네 미라고 때네 마서를 여기 미라고 그 잠은 거지 풀나로 성서라 미 남나 그래 룩사므로 근데 자데 미라고 이게 이발 마서를 여기 오다시 왕보지 풀나도 가래도 계속 짜주셔 넘버서 가는 거래라 가는데 넘버서 짜주셔 가래나 되는 남나지 자데는 마서 왕보지 풀어도 위다로 장도 있음 왜 짜주셔 되나 되네 다들 강아리에서도 그것도 야마 계절에 때 강아리 멋있도 것도 쏘는 치즈 다들 가을기 가보자상 세계 보고 안에 주는 시다타도 근데 다 주는 들는데 근데 안에 상게네 그 남나구나 강아리 버지를 버렸으면 내 시기 보다 타고도 하고 나서도 나서도 가보라 예산 주고 다 데레데레 레샹스 근데 안에 갈고이라고 데레데레나 말람 술로들 위에 강보다 인증이 쇼가 지나서 지나는 거. 우리는 내리시고. 그 깨졌지요. 딱 한대씩 거두에는 남나 풀면서. 근데 대체도 근데 그 대체도 그 생각 좀 쉬우가 사실 그러면 이게도 나와서 좀 강한 팔로시고도 근데 제가 그냥 그래서 그 생각 좀 내니까 어디 그래서 정말 배워가 근데 배워도 되는데 저 관계에서 남나 그 관계체 버서 깨졌도 오 맞지 된 프로 이게 결국이 결함 아들 되는 참 빵네 까와제네 내 몸경네 내 상계 그래라가 근데 나도 결국이 뇌연 방배 탈반이 남양에서 부담아서나 너배 연된 방에 아직 지하적으로 자야 땅 청구야 땅 배내직 공모도 생각 또 점어서야 땅 대대리 상업의 유근이 까라게 가디는 보면서 또 떠나는 칼리메스가 결국이 다 쉬는 정도 다 생각 좀 쉬거라 근데 쉬다 오 딱고 딱 상하게 있는 놈들 샤고 생각 좀 내가 lem상 어제 생일 꾸려잖아요. 차대도 세잖아. 또 저 꼬라 숨겨라네. 차대로. 차대도 저 꼬라 숨겨는데. 근데 결국에 세미나로 삼아 떠네. 꼭배 상가 상하는데 된데는 착자세. 착자는 라파기 기아들이 제거라. 기아 생각도 돼서 라파기 없다. 근데 그래서 꼬라 숨거든. 근데 거기 생데 상마 더 상하라. 그거 가르쳐 하고 그래서나 다 농동이 동도 주고 임바 어디 치들은 나와서 나도 동바지 어디 냠도 내고 임바 저거 하고 내라래 근데 도서 오라 숨겨도 되는데 감성도参加 나중에 모두 봐야 돼 거기 있으면 나도 또서 내라래 어디에 내가서 남게데 사 추기 고상마 엄소바 오시다 소다는 소바 오시다 쓸때 나빠도 오라 숨겨버려 이제 내 김생각은 내도 생각이 어디잖아 내 결보라데 나로 있던서 또 버려라 어디잖아 내가 참겨 친구라 어디 참겨 내 친구에서도 또 내가 학교 지나서라다 또 봐야지 메시도 또 최소도 돼 말이야 어디 참겨 친구세 아 민다 김자도 그렇습니다 참겨 친구들 나한테 가르치나 알아서 생긴 나올때 하고 그래라 하고 간도 쓰르나 되게 이해돼서 그래서 남도 그래서 가서 남도 까는 도도세 살아내다가 그래서 도세잖아 담이들에게 지셔야 이제 송사 어디 이제 그런 송사도 간다네 지금 지금 마산에 강한 해롱을 그 깜맞춰야 되죠 뭐가 어디서 막다 치고 해라 다들 치아가 가르쳐 봤더니 겨 리라이크 있다 또 고마서 지납지 리라 좋아이나 근데 상마서 되게 맞아 버렸다 가서 또 상마 찾아서 해서 가서 아마도 왜 뭔가 소리
So then,
한번 머리다 세번마다
So first for the basis of Mahamudra, so it says first the line, O faithful meditators, wipe the dirt from the mirror of mind and look into the space of the stainless sky. With the blessings of all the previous sitters, go meditate in the mountains in solitary places. So first, wipe the dirt from the mirror of the mind. So first is the introduction to Mahamudra. So the mind is like a mirror, and so Mahamudra is your own mind. That's what Mahamudra is. But right now, your mind is not covered in dirt. It's just like you have something really nice and clean, but then you throw mud all over it. It gets all stained, and it's not very clean. So right now, even though what's underneath is pure, it's covered in this mud, in like earth and stains. So your mind is the Buddha. It only has to become a little bit dirty. And so what is this dirt now? So this dirt is essentially our many thoughts in the mind. There are many thoughts and obscurations like piled up in our mind. And it's really because of all of our thoughts that we have all of our problems or these hardships. Without that this dirt of our thoughts, we are already Buddhas. It's just that we have to purify that first. And so we call the mind Mahamudra because this term Mahamudra, so Maha means great, and the mudra is like a sign, like a gesture in this case. And so where it comes from is the story of when the Buddha, the way he came to Mount Kailash. So he wanted to go there, and so there was this spirit being who said, "I want to carry you on my back to that mountain." And so the Buddha said, "There's no need to carry you on the back to that mountain, because this place in the future will be a place of chakra samvara, and 500 arhats I will send 500 arhats to just fly there." And so he flew there in this way, and when he got there, he left this I guess the footprint and a handprint in the rock, and there's still a small statue there that you know is because the kind of is a representation of that, and the Buddha placed the print there in the rock, and they call it Jumyama, the statue. And so, anyways, during that time there was a king in that area called Sangbom, and so when he looked into the sky, he saw this flock of birds. It looks like red birds that kind of look like humans, but this turned out to be 500 arhas. And it looked like these strange reddish birds flying, and he thought that I've never seen that before. So what is flying there? And so then he had this son. This king had a son, and so the son. So then the son said, "There's the enlightened one, Buddha is here," and he told the king. And so then the king wanted to meet with the Buddha, and so he invited the Buddha. He sent some monks to invite the Buddha, and the Buddha then accepted, and he came. And then the king asked him, "So what was it that was flying there in the sky? I've never seen anything like that." And so the Buddha then said, and so I'm someone who has abandoned all of samsara. I've given up the kingdom, all sense pleasures, and I meditated. I have attained enlightenment, and so why not fly through the sky? And so then the king he said, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to follow, and I will never again enjoy those sense pleasures of the kingdom, like food and drink and women and so forth. But I will give it all up. And the Buddha then thought that he's someone who is like a proper vessel for the Vajrayana. So then he arose in the form of Vajradharam. And the king then joined his palms like this, and then circled the palms 3 times. And at that moment, then he realized the nature of the mind and attained enlightenment. And so this gesture, that is the mudra, so it's the join the palms gesture. And then the turning of the palms 3 times means to see the nature of the mind. That is when in that moment when he joined the palms and circled 3 times, he saw the nature of all these thoughts in the mind, that they appear but they are empty of self-nature. So he realized empty appearances and realized that the 3 realms of samsara all lacks any true existence. For example, when we recite this mantra, Om Svabhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma, we also are supposed to perform this mudra where we join our palms and circle our palms 3 times. And that gesture, that mudra, comes from that story of joining the palms means the realizing this union of appearance and emptiness, or the nature of the mind. And so this is the joining, and the turning is the joining is this union, and then the turning is to actually realize the nature of the mind. So that is the meaning of this mudra. And so together now, that's the mudra of Maha Mudra. And then the Maha, or the Khenpo, means great. So this is the greatest mudra. The greatest meaning is to realize, to understand the nature of the mind. Because if we don't, then what happens? If we don't see the nature of the mind, then essentially there's all kinds of thoughts in our mind. Even if we stay a little bit in meditation, we sit there, but right away the mind starts running again. Right away we're thinking, oh, I wanted to talk to him, or I need to do this, I need to do that, or that I shouldn't have done this, and so on. So we're not even for a moment, a minute, we can stay just still. Instantly, our thoughts just constantly run in our mind. And so that's why we need to practice the Dharma. And so then how? Milarepa then says, so then go and, with the blessings of the previous siddhas, so just like the previous masters did, go and meditate in the mountains in solitary places. So you need to practice to purify your mind. The mind is not going to purify itself like that. You have to do it.
Hola, so that was a Chihuahua, and I was so I'm not going to have that's a lot of
So now I should let you talk a little bit, not talk too much. So do you have any questions?
Yes.
Hello, Khenpo. Thank you for coming to be with us. My question is about samadhi of ugliness. Samadhi then is complete immersion. What is ugliness?
Det var det min duppe tinge sin kolori. Di tinge sin sia di da sem lumsora ina yang min duppa sia di kanas kolori.
Okay, 가 등에 대해서 선발로도 제대로 미치는 등이지가 선발로도 제대로 등이지나 봐요. 근데 내가네 그래서 공개하게 와서 나라 와서 선나 right here. 근데 내가 때문에 그래서 공개하게 가서 나서 대회 등에 살아야 되는 소미 아드나 지당이 미 묵 휴신분은 미도파팅이지 미도파스나 미도파팅이지는데 가야는 도도서 공개하게 들어 오 가드나 근데 조세던 덴던 소소소 보던 상황에 가지고도 설마 풀어를 거예요 오들은 미도파팅이지 라 남도 봐 오들아 아무거나 두세면 들어와 오케이
So first of all, let's talk about samadhi. And so samadhi is it means when the mind rests in a relaxed state. And then, so when normally in our mind there are all these thoughts of desire and anger and ignorance. And because of these, even when we meditate, and sometimes desire arises, or hatred, anger arises, or ignorance. And so then through these, when we meditate, we also experiences of bliss, clarity, and non-thought. So when there is a stronger ignorance, then we experience a samadhi of non-thought. And so in that state, it can feel like everything disappears. So the place where you're sitting, your seat, your chair, even your own body, everything seems to be gone. when there is no thought. So that's the samadhi of no thought. So
related to ugliness,
you know,
there's horror, there's repulsion, there's the samadhi of ugliness which transforms the desire had to be performed. So I'm curious about the technique of revulsion, horror, and that practice.
di shishmanga tatanya ko do miduk para na sange chomden de miduk pa ma miduk pa de de na como jibochi de miduk
okay the miduk pa se kan de da miduk pa te se ta de da so theravada se so la ba achidang sange chue de la rig number che ane dosa pong la dosa non de jure la 사람도 찾아가면서 되게 숨다. 내가 도사 뽕을 하면 지금 내가 걸었잖아. 내가 서 도사는 매봐서라. 메타나서 들어와서 무슨 목소리 이렇게 나면 제가 되나? 도사 빵 먹었어. 그거 그냥 부모당 그냥 저와 같이 봐. 유야기 다시 말해라. 근데 이거도 가서 봐잖아. 그 빵서 도사 같은 넘버 제발라. 그냥 부모님은 불러 넘버야 보이는 거 보는데 자네 저밖에 없어. 내 부모나 부모 넘버야 불러서나 내 동물 오 다디 넘버야 보면래서나 공개하지라. 얘네 믿고 있지나.
So first of all, there's many different kinds of Buddhist teachings, and so there are different ways of abandoning desire. So it's either abandoned, or it is transformed, or it is actualized and realized. And so now, when it is abandoned, that refers to the Theravada path of the teaching. So in the Theravada, there is this path of abandonment. And so according to this path, we overcome desire by abandoning it. So for example, one does not, a man does not associate with a woman, or a woman does not associate with a man. So meaning, abandoning means to let those kind of relations go. So if a woman looks at a handsome man and maybe desire arises, or if a man looks at an attractive woman and desire arises. And so then this meditation on ugliness is that when this desire arises, when you see this beauty, and the way you then meditate is that actually in reality it is not really that attractive, that beautiful. So that's the kind of the way of abandoning attachment. So
thank you.
There's something in the chat. Larvita Wama.
Oh, okay. Yes, so there's a question from Jung. Can you explain the meaning of joining the palms of Mahamudra and how to turning the palms, the clockwise or counterclockwise?
And that is Chakya Chidora in the Chakya temple. In the Yeko Gogori and a young So you are turning clockwise 3 times.
Other question?
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
Everybody's in Mahamudra.
Everybody said better, Okay, then I do. I'm a Malawai, another. Retreat Tibet, Kopala, Wangus and Sheila, Talu Koisha, Adela. 아다지 자기가 뭐 하게 생긴 뭐 좋지네. 근데 다리 줄어 도고래 해서 다리 줄어잖아. 다리라서다 생냐된 되게 생기게 말해 해서 말해. 대가서한테 자당 리다당 아니 대서라 내 칸데스도 내 칸데스 칼라서도 따된 되게 말해라. 나 가르쳐줬나? 아니 랑이 생각다고네 했어. 왜 생각 칸데다고 생이 상에 랑이 생각 원규 거였어. 랑와요 봐서 내가 알았으면 알아서 셈들라 랑와요 배시다. 단단 알아서 셈들라 랑 가르치니까 말잖아. 아주 셈들어 아주 정말로 죽샤래. 단단 알아서 셈 정말로 셈데 거에서 그 정말로 와래. 랑와시야 말이야. 가르치 전라 도와서나 도샤리 전통 예당이 전통 디모게 전통 나게게 전통 차도 오데 상마게 담자다 다 간데 담 거서나 답에나 어서 답에나 도차도 뭐 찾아봐나 어서 다 당하라 빼샤고 오상기래 도차래 도차 빼샤 가서 뭐 dollar tongji na nga phase changni le sambar yong lo bang lo tongji jora ta dila kha yong ta thiji go do sang dire ani thiji na ta go mo thiji ta khala sa ya thang se ma shim do ta khang pa jing ya ta bi ta mo do ani ta go dollar boom ji go do sang dire dere chene ne nga so sem de ko gi dam gyo ale de na la pe dam ne de ne ko kala ti gre ya gyo ko le ma gyo re ne ta go boomjira 거라 대신에 세상을 도거라 인을 도거라 때네 제가 저를 주마시 버려 가져라 겸모실 버려 가져서 뭐버려 딱 못하 저버려 어디지네 가서 쌤들 도착이 왕도 선에 가서라 왕이야 말해라 어딘데 왕규 나서 왕이야 봐서 쌤들아 되는데 쌤이 싫어도 예성 버려 다나 전에 다 되게 배나 빼셔도 와다 네 소소지 거기 김면도보다 된데라가 발제지긴 바뀌어 내가 라면 지금도 방 송도면 지금도 방에 된데라고 중요해나 근데 책 봐서야 돼딱 걸어 축박이래요 축박이 뭐다 감주도 거래 딱 담으러 세워 되지도 근데 제가 때는 시당 어디 가서 시당이 진 거다 가는 친구도 방법 더 잘하지 이거는 시당이 진 거래 다 댕이 자 가래라 두 번이나 어서 도당과 하마 원하는 정도 그때 무기죠. 자와서 하마 원. 가르잖아 가서데 배샤데 가서 배저 당겨 봐도 뭐 맞으네. 내가서 배샤데 mambo 상거래. 배샤 사사나 강바이 거래. 강바 사사나 다 되게 말해. 강바는 잘하고 말해. 다 버래. 네. 그래서 거래요. 보신 비신 거래. 나는 쪼세 거래. 대불 거래. 딱 말하는 거래. 내 되게 말이야. 내가 가요 담담한 되어. 내 되게 말이야. 다 알아요. 알아도 미연에 되게 말이야. 내 배경에서는 알아 공청부 이거. 대저는 거기 있다. 징겹되네. 소리는 나고 정말로 그러잖아요. 어디지? 얘네 땅에서도 영화에 김센데 어디.
Ara pato posongri ta desnera chaso.
나서 되게 야버리다. 아마 보자 또 살다 되는데. 어제는 내가 서 샘데라 왕 매버서 버려라. 얘네들 왕 요가 쳐 버려라. 다들 성만하면 좀 마실 거잖아요. 랑이 샘기 너희네 그래 봐. 다쇼 성거다. 그 샘기 실을 때 성다. 오늘 따당 걸로 마시나? 딱 거의 시. 지금은 나이 kan서 시에 무슨 봐. 정말 가지 따와서 생각해봐. 이 마행이 제 살을 사다선 마에 버전가 야뭐 진년대에서 땡에도 시기 인생을 봐도 어디 순창 되오나
자.
나도 이 손에 다 본데 지기어서 그래.
맞아.
뭐래?
Acordo, tá na coro. Todos sabem se me vai achar, tá na coro. So, yeah. So now next, yeah. So then it says here, we go back to the text. Then there's no more question. So Then we come to the actual introduction of Mahamudra. So Milarepa then says, so the reason for wandering in mountain retreats is to gain mastery. Look at mind's nature. Now I will explain the way to look. Listen without distractions. Hallelujah. So now is the introduction to Mahamudra, what comes from there. And so he says the reason you go to the mountain is to look at your mind. So you're not going to the mountain to just sleep and have some quiet time. And you're not going to the mountain to just watch what do the birds do, what do the deer do, what are they drinking and eating. You're not there to watch the birds and the deer. You're going to the mountain to look at your mind. That's what you should look at. And how you look at the mind is by letting the mind rest naturally. And then through that, you gain mastery. And so mastery also means freedom. You gain a freedom of the mind. You master it. So right now, we lack mastery. We have no autonomy, no freedom over our mind. So right now, we are essentially in a prison. We are in the prison of our mind. We have no freedom. We are in the prison of our anger, the prison of our desire, the prison of our ignorance, the prison of our jealousy, and the prison of our pride. A prison because they bind us, they tie us down. So for example, let's take desire, attachment as an example. So we think that I need some money. Okay, how much do you need? I need $1,000, that will be enough. Then once you have $1,000, you will feel that, well, that's actually not that much. I really need $10,000. And so then you have $10,000, and then once you have $10,000, you feel that, well, that will just maybe be enough for some food, but I also need a house. So then you need $100,000. So this is how the mind gets kind of tied down, and then so then you're running up and down to try to get your $100,000 to get your house. You're restless, and you do whatever it takes to get it. So sometimes you have to even lie to others. You have to play some tricks. You have to manipulate them a little bit. Sometimes you have to you give them like a not so sincere smile. You have to pretend to be nice. You have to do all kinds of things to get your $100,000, to get your money. Because the mind has no freedom, and you are totally controlled by this desire. And so then once you have some money, and so then after you have your house, then so you basically never feel that I have enough. And then if you have whatever you need, then you have money. Maybe you have a spouse. You have a business, and then things don't go your way. Maybe you lose your job, or your business is unsuccessful, or your spouse annoys you, and so on. Then you get angry, and you start fighting, and you do all kinds of things you shouldn't do, and you get angry. And so then that ties you down, that binds you. So that desire binds you, the hatred binds you. And at the root of all of that is ignorance. It's because we don't really know that we are bound by desire and hatred. And so we are actually bound by ignorance. So then you accumulate all this money, and you always want more. And you have your house, and it's not enough. Because once you have your house, that's all you wanted, but then you realize that actually the house needs some furniture too. It needs appliances, it needs to have a kitchen, it needs to have a washing machine, it needs to have some tables, and then you have all your furniture, and then you feel that actually your house, I should have some nice cups and glasses and so on. So, and then once you have your cups, you feel that, well, I need something to fill my cups, so you get some alcohol, get some wine to fill your cups, and so there's no end, because there is no self-mastery, there's no mental freedom. So this is what Milarepa is talking about. We have to gain self-mastery, gain freedom, control of the mind. And how do we get that? It starts by looking at the mind, looking at the nature of the mind. And so then, if you don't know how to look at your mind, Milarepa said, I will tell you how to look at your mind. So first he says, listen without distraction, Salu.
몰라서 다 되려면서 단다 그만 정말도가 그냥 좀 보면 되지 겨. 괜히 아주 뭐 죽은 거라 가서 되는 뭐 대해서 영 보면 되게 지나 약고 잘했습니다. 근데 몸 개야 되나 근데 겨워서는 와서 뭐 가도 제 선바들을 제가 근데 선바들 또 있어가 다 술았다고 선바들 따와요. 근데 칼리스 따와 쓰느라 그래서 다 미래로 잘라도 하나 이게야 방을 따오라 아들면 나서 선나 따오들 선바들 발로로 제샤야 어디가 선나 따라 선나 따서도 선바들 로로 제샤 친다 내들 선바들 로로 제샤나 근데 가려운 거스나 근데 내가 담을 채용 그래 어디에 가서 샘들 다들 담을 탱겐지 어디 가서 샘들 다 샘들 가래서는 담을 탱겐지 에라 버려 다들 인도에는 단단해서 다 가마치 와서 로로 지자라 해 슈라 다들 칸데스 들어왔던 거 같은데 그래서 지금 가르치니까 몰라서 그냥서 다 가마치 와또 공개해 있습니다.
And so now we have 15 minutes left in our session, so let's meditate for the remainder of the session, and then we continue more with the teachings later. And so I think it's good to mix the sessions with the meditation practice. But then how to meditate. So basically let your mind just relax and then just stay like that. Just stay relaxed and look at your mind. So what are you really looking at? You're looking at the mind, but how are you looking at the mind? So normally we look at things, like we look at a person, we look at an object. Now we're looking at the mind, and how do we look at the mind? So to look at the mind, you mainly need to relax the mind and rest and evenly. And what happens when you relax your mind and rest evenly, all these thoughts come up. You begin to think all kinds of things. So then what is the mind then? Where is the mind to look at? It's the one who is thinking all of those things. So that's the thing, that's what you are looking at. So now let's meditate for 15 minutes and we'll talk more later.
so 나한테 개발 창인데 이게 돼서 가야 되나? 가면 또 가야 그냥 뭐든 가마보니까 짠하니 이게 되지 않아야 말이야. 이나대 하고 그래서 상하고 그래. 그래서 그래. 그러나 제법 좀 성해라. 또 주정이 싫어서 그냥 IBCD 단지나 이게 다 가마다 그래도 나 지금 뭐 상마 신기라. 이게 돼서 가로 샤는 야마를 사요 말. 그거 동반해라. 나도 하고도 그 렉션 디션도 록신도 어디 가다가 살와도 나도 살고 하고 이제 말아봐. 나 이나가서 강 가르치거든요. 내가 카샤로 그래. 내가서 상 말이야. 강아지한테 어디 카샤로 그래. 어디 염도 했더나 내가서 강아지네가 잘해라. 진짜 가라래. 손님 자랑 남자 되기라. 이나 콜라 강아지 유행을 지켜봐주고 왔다네. 어디 정량들 했더나 내 강아지네가 잘해라. 거기 카샤서나 내 강아지가 나가서 지금 링가라 이거 링가라네. 그래지 배샤가 조나가 맞아도 때네 정말 용데 아직 이제 투발하게 책발가 양미치 떨바라다나 배선가 어디 가지면 가서 이 인형도 내면서 결을 해라. 어디 딱 인형도 내야 되라. 그래서 몸 겨야 돼. 저도 있었는데 다 되는데 그 인형도 내기를 해라. 어디 다시 가서
So now, as we were looking at the mind, what we need to understand, what we need to realize is that the mind is clear and empty, and it's unified clarity and emptiness. And so you've probably heard about it, but what really is this clarity, emptiness? So clarity means that you know everything. The mind knows, the knowing capacity. And emptiness means that it doesn't truly exist inherently. And then together they are a union. And so, for example, if you think of someone who learns something, somebody studies for many years, maybe 15 or 20 years, is studying to learn. So then when he becomes a great scholar, a great expert in that field, starting with the alphabet and going through all of these different texts and so on, and learn everything about it, so becomes a complete expert in that field. So then he knows all of that. But then where did he put all of that knowledge? Where is the knowledge really? Where is it stored? It's not like you find it somewhere in his legs or in his arms or somewhere in his body. You can't find the knowledge that he's gained anywhere because it's empty. But still it's there because he clearly knows all of these things. So that's the clarity. And the fact that it's nowhere but you still know it, it's not like stored somewhere, but still there, it's emptiness. And so as ordinary people, we keep those separate, and we keep the emptiness and the clarity separate. And that's why we are not enlightened, and that's why we run into hardships and difficulties. If there is a union, if we unify them, then everything will be good. But if they're separating, then everything will not be good. Then things just go wrong. We are unsuccessful. We try hard, but constantly fail. We run